enough about me, Fred. Hit me with the goodness.
Uh, with all of this gigantic list of games that I have here, the top 10 games of the year. Like if I was doing this on my own channel, I would call this the Skizzle Awards or the Skizzies or
Skizzy?
something. Because, I go by SkipToGame, but to shorten it, I call myself Skizzle.
When did you start this?
On my own, when I started up a new Animal Crossing save, and that's what I named my villager. Number 10 is Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. I loved Wolfenstein: The New Order. I loved what I played of Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. Like, I had to pick this one up when it came out. So I was really excited to play it because, not just because it's really fun to play, like the gameplay mechanics by itself are reason enough to play it, but what really pushes it over the top for me is the excellent story and the fantastic writing. It's just amazing how they've taken BJ Blazkowicz, a guy who was just a little picture at the bottom of the screen in those really old Wolfenstein games, and they've turned them into this amazingly well-written character that is super deep, and to just find something like that in a Wolfenstein game just blows my mind. Number 9, it might surprise you that it's this low, considering how excited I was for it, but it's Yooka-Laylee.
I forgot Yooka-Laylee came out this year.
You know how excited I was for it because how much I love Banjo-Kazooie. And it's the same team coming together, making a spiritual successor and all that stuff. And I gave it money on Kickstarter, and I was super pumped for the release. And I played through it, and I love it. I think it's really fun. But there are just some little nitpicks about it that kind of bug me. They didn't bug me at first because I was kind of blinded by just like, oh, it's finally out, I'm finally playing it kind of stuff. But like, it doesn't control super fluid sometimes. The camera had a lot of issues when I was first playing it, which I know they patched out by now. Some of it's kind of felt like it's kind of like empty, like it was just there. Like I'm just playing this Banjo-Kazooie-esque game, but I'm not feeling the same kind of stuff that I felt when I was playing Banjo-Kazooie when I was a kid, or that I still feel when I play it now. I mean, it's good. It's just not great.
It was good enough that that's what brought us back to the show.
Yeah. That is true. Number 8 was kind of a last minute one. It snuck on there. It's Resident Evil 7. I picked up I guess it's called the Gold Edition?
Yeah.
I had watched people play through it before, and I knew how like faithful it was to the old Resident Evil games, but it really clicked with me once I finally got my hands on it and was playing it, just how faithful it was. Going through the Baker Mansion really feels like playing through the mansion segment of Resident Evil 1. Like you said, the first person perspective really makes things so much creepier, really amplifies it, whereas before I thought it was just going to be a PT ripoff.
That's what it seemed like at first.
But it ends up being a super faithful Resident Evil style game. It does kind of drag on at the second half of the game, but I don't think it's that big of a detriment to it. And it's still got like the Resident Evil style like campiness to it in some points, which makes it a lot of fun. And that's why I love Resident Evil 7. This concludes my class report. But speaking of 7, number 7 on my list is, ready for the shocked emotion coming from you, it's Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Number 7?
Yeah, it's number 7.
Christ!
And like, you know how much I loved this Life is Strange.
Yes,
So,
I do.
think about what that says for the other 6 games that are coming up after this. This game was great. Going back and seeing the origins of Chloe and Rachel, their friendship, was super interesting. I think it was the best thing they could have done with the prequel. I liked that they didn't try to shoehorn in any special like powers for Chloe, and they just gave her the backtalk mechanic. And then just little things like the facial animations and lip syncing being a lot better. Deck 9 did an amazing job, and I hope to like play another game from them in the future.
Oh, I forgot to add this to mine though. The appearance of Hot Dog Man all the time.
Oh yeah.
That adds a lot to it.
Our playthrough was like 90% Hot Dog Man. Number 6 goes to a little 3D platformer called A Hat in Time.
I was wondering when it was going to show up.
Again, like, Yooka-Laylee is a game that was promising to be a throwback to the N64 style 3D platformers. And this one, like, A Hat in Time has a lot of it, but it also, tries some new things. It does some silly things, and it's just fucking fun. I had so much fun with it that, like, in a way kind of brought me back to those days playing, like, Banjo-Kazooie and, like, Mario 64 as a kid, where it's just having fun just jumping around the levels and exploring stuff and trying out all the different moves I can do. It's just fun. If you're listening to this, you haven't played Hat in Time, you need to first finish watching this and then go play Hat in Time. So here comes my top 5. It starts with number 5, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It's that kind of hybrid indie AAA game from Ninja Theory. This game, I was super excited for it for like years. I love the premise of it, where it's like our main character has, deals with psychosis and depression, and we're gonna treat this subject in a really like mature and honest manner. They even got like people who actually have psychosis to come and share experiences with the team so that they can make sure that they get it right. And also like the gameplay just by itself is super fun. I think the combat can feel a little stilted at times, but once you get the hang of it, it's really not that bad. And of course there was the whole fiasco about like the fake permadeath thing that they added.
Oh, sure.
There was like Senua like has this rot that's growing up her arm. And they said like if you die too many times and you let it reach her head, then it'll wipe your save file. I still really like that they did that because it feeds back into the whole thing of like her having the psychosis and stuff like that. Because one of the things they mentioned was like people with psychosis sometimes feel like they have this journey that they have to go on, and if they start to feel like they're not gonna accomplish that goal, then they start like losing themselves or something like that. I probably oversimplified it and made it sound really stupid, but it's something like that. It feeds into that where like if you start dying too much in the game and you start getting like close to death in a combat scenario, like in those moments where you're mashing the buttons trying to get up, like she's feeling that emotion to like that she feel like she has to continue, and that's what you're feeling as the player. And that's something awesome that I think only video games can get across, and they fucking pulled it off. That was a lot of explanation for what's just number 5. Oh boy.
That means it's gonna only get better.
Number 4 goes to Nier Automata.
I was thinking that was gonna make your list, but I wasn't sure.
I don't even know where to start with it. First off, it's from Platinum. It's from Yoko Taro. So it's going to be fun to play because it's from Platinum, and it's going to be a little weird because it's from Yoko Taro. And just the way that it deals with almost a sort of existential dread with the characters, I found that really interesting as I was playing through it. One other thing that I've actually heard before from like a blog post of all things that they kind of also deal with in Nier Automata is like this almost kind of cyberpunky feeling of like, or not feeling, but thought process of like oh, what would happen if, like, you died, but all your consciousness and your personality and stuff was uploaded onto, like, a robot? If it walks, talks, and acts just like you, but the original version of you is dead, is this new thing still you? Again, I'm really stupid and I can't explain things well, but I tried. Because every time you die, it's not like you just go back to the checkpoint. I mean, that's how it is mechanically, but like story-wise, it's like you died. Well, good thing you uploaded your memory to our sort of cloud bank. We'll just send down another robot body, upload that stuff into its brain chip or whatever, and then just kind of scoot it up on back out there. And it's like, is that the same 2B or 9S that I was playing as before, or is this a different one?
Right? It's interesting.
I could gush about that game for hours, but I got 3 other games to get to. So just Nier Automata, very good. Go play it. Number 3 is actually slightly cheating. It's like 50% cheating. But number 3 goes to both Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami.
I was thinking, because you don't ever shut the fuck up about those, that they were going to make
Yakuza 0, I'm including for a lot of reasons, but also because it cemented the Yakuza series as one of my all-time favorites now. I've played a bit of 4, I've played a good chunk of 5, but it wasn't until Yakuza 0 that all of it really kind of clicked. This game is backdropped by a pretty serious like crime drama, but in between there you can do a lot of really like wacky and weird subplots, and how it just cements Kiryu as an even more badass character because he's a super serious member of this crime family, but in his off time he just goes and helps the dominatrix be a better dominatrix, or he'll go and race little tiny battery powered slot cars. All that mixed in with some of the most satisfying combat. They're super fun games. I love them both. Yakuza 6 comes out later this year. I'm way too excited to finally get my hands on that one. But yeah, Yakuza 0 and Kiwami, brilliant. Love them. Number 2 goes to the newest game from Supergiant Games. It's Pyre. Supergiant made an amazingly fun game with great art, tremendous music, and really great and memorable characters. But this time, they made the gameplay into more of a almost kind of sports-ish kind of game. Throughout the story, you kind of collect this roster of characters, and you take them into these things called the rights, which are basically games of like 3-on-3, almost like a hybrid of basketball and soccer.
That's awesome.
At the end, it goes through a cycle basically, and at the end, there's a liberation right where you choose one character on your roster to get liberated out of this wasteland that you're all in, and they get to go back into society. Every character that you pick up offers like a new playstyle to fumble around with. Even on top of that, they're really well-written characters that have their own backstories and reasons for being outcasted into this wasteland. Again, it's all backed up by an amazing soundtrack from Darren Korb. I almost feel like Pyre has kind of slipped under some people's radars this year, but it's definitely one worth playing. It's exceptionally good. My number 1 favorite game of the year, surprising absolutely nobody, is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This game is not only the best game I've played this year, it is, without a doubt, no hyperbole, one of the best games I have ever played. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a must-own, whether it's on the Wii U or the Switch.
Or both.
Or both. I got it at the midnight release when it came out, and I couldn't stop playing it. I couldn't put it down. Even like talking about it with people that I work with, someone would be like, hey, have you played this in this game? No, I haven't been able to put down Breath of the Wild, so I haven't really played anything else. What really like blew me away about it is the fact that it's such a departure from other Legend of Zelda games.
Right?
I still remember when the gameplay was first revealed at E3. I remember seeing the stuff like the inventory management and the cooking and being able to climb anything in the world that you can see. I remember just sitting there like jaw on the floor, and then finally getting my hands on it, playing around with it, climbing anything that I could get my grubby little hands on, spending hours just walking, doing nothing but just walking and just exploring any little nook and cranny that I thought looked interesting. It was constantly blowing my mind with how much cool stuff there was to find. I didn't get to the first Divine Beast for 15 hours. I even thought the story was really good. It's really minimal. Of course, the music is amazing. Just that little touches of ambient music you get when you're just walking around. Just, gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. And just the amount of creativity that went into that game is just shocking. Like I said at the start, it is one of the best games I've ever played. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And there you have it. That's my list.
It's a good list.
I kind of delved into explaining those more than I thought I was going to, but...
Yeah, but that's the fun of doing these.